Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from Germany. Today is Monday the 29th of January 2017. This is a podcast about knitting, and if you're here for the first time, I really hope that you'll like it and maybe you'll become a regular subscriber and viewer of the podcast. And if you're coming back, thank you ever so much. I really appreciate it. So before we talk about finished objects, works in progress and the likes, let's talk about what's going on in the Ravelry Group. So we have a group on Ravelry called the Happy Knitting Podcast Group, which you can find in the group section on there. And that is where I post all of the show notes for each and every episode, and also you can introduce yourself. There's lots of fun threads going on there, and most importantly, we have our knit-alongs. So currently we have two knit-alongs. One of them is informal, and that's the One Ball with Love cowl. So that started out because I want to knit more commercial sock yarn this year. So I committed to knitting at least one pair of commercial socks each month. And lots of people just decided to join in, and you don't need to hit that goal. You can knit as many or as few socks as you'd like. There's no deadlines, there are no prizes. Just knit with commercial sock yarn and you can just join in the chatter. So that is there. And then we also have the Geeky Sock Along, which is a more formal knit along. So that's a sock knit along to knit a pair of geeky socks. And they can be geeky by using geeky patterns, or because the colorway is something geeky, or whatever makes them geeky for you. You just need to explain to me why they are geeky in the FO thread. So as I'm already saying, there is an FO thread and a chatter thread, and in the chatter thread I have written out all of the rules. So if you're unsure, please just go over and check. That's also where I've written down all the prizes, and lots of people are chattering along, and it's really fun. So that runs until the 31st of March. So you still have plenty of time to join in, and you can double, triple, quadruple dip. So essentially you can enter into as many knit-alongs as you want with your socks. I don't really mind as long as they meet the guidelines for my knit-along. So I haven't shown you the prizes in a while, so I decided to do that today. So I'm still waiting on one prize, which should hopefully be here sometime this week, and I'll show that to you next week. But what I have to show you is I'm giving away some stitch markers, and these are from Lovely Bogger of Knitting in France. She has an Etsy store where she sells stitch markers and yarn and lots of really beautiful knitting related things. And I will probably just add in these with the yarn prizes that I already have. Next, I have a skein of yarn to give away. This skein of super bright green sock yarn in the Awesome Sock base, which is a 9010 superwash merino nylon base, is from Twisted Threads, who is Stacy, and you can find her yarn at twistedthreads.com. And she also sent me a skein which I used for my Close to You shawl in a different colorway, and I absolutely love it. It's a really sort of luxurious sock yarn. It's very soft, and yeah, I am sure that the winner will love this skein. So thank you, Stacy. And we also have some bookmarks to give away. As you might already know, my friend Grace has the A Fandom Doodler Etsy store, in which she sells these kind of bookmarks that she makes herself based on geeky characters. So she's giving away 2 bookmarks to 2 winners. So I'll draw 2 winners, and then you can pick one bookmark from her Etsy store of your choice, and she will send that straight to you. Also, Lauren, who has the Valkyrie Fibers Tahoe Etsy store, has donated a skein of her self-strapping yarn to give away. She has lots of geeky yarns and lately is dyeing self-strapping colorways, which looks so fun. So again, I'll draw a winner, and the winner will be able to pick one of her self-strapping colorways, and she will send that straight to you. And Lauren also has a coupon code for the podcast, which I have linked in the coupon thread. So I think until the end of March, with the coupon code Happy Geek, I hope that's right. Yes, I think it's right. Happy Geek, you can get, yeah, just check the coupon code thread. I'm sorry, I don't have it all written down right now. But there is a coupon code, so if you have been wondering or wanting to buy from her store, you should definitely do that now. And I think that's all of the prizes. They will be given away via random number generator. Most of the prizes I will draw from the finished objects thread, so make sure you enter into that as well. But I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with that yet. But I just thought I should mention the prizes once more. So I think that's enough knit along talk for now. Like I said, everything is listed in the chat threads for the respective knit alongs. So if you have any questions, just check there first. And if you don't find your answer, feel free to contact me. So, I'm never very good at the intro thing because there's just so much to get out and get right. And yeah, whatever. Let's just move on to some finished objects. So as you can maybe tell, I am wearing one of my finished objects this week, and that means I finally finished my Breathing Space sweater. So I'll talk about it first and then I'll show it to you. This is a pattern by Vera Välimäki, and it is a paid for pattern on Ravelry. Like I said, it's called the Breathing Space sweater, or maybe just Breathing Space. I knitted out of this yarn, which is Drops Flora, which is just a very, very affordable fingering weight yarn from Drops. So this is what the label looks like. It was my first time knitting with it and I quite enjoyed it. It's, like I said, very, very affordable. It's a alpaca wool blend. So it's a little bit rustic, but without being scratchy. At least I don't think it's scratchy for me, for my taste. And it knit up really, really well. I really enjoyed it. So especially for sweater projects or something, I could definitely see myself knitting with it again, even though I might not necessarily use it for a shawl. I knit the pattern pretty much as it said, except that I changed the decreases and increases on the body, because as you might see if you've looked at the pattern pages, the sweater has this A-line sort of shaping, and while knitting it I realized that I didn't really like it, so I did lots of decreases to counteract that. So if I stand up, you should be able to see that. And this is always kind of awkward showing sweaters, but this is what the sweater looks like worn. And you can see that mine doesn't really flare out at the bottom, it rather kind of goes in and sits really nicely on my hip. And I'm super, super happy with how it turned out. It's weird because right now I can't see what you guys are seeing, but this is what it looks like. I think this might be my best fitting sweater yet. It just worked really, really well, and I'm so happy with the result. The increases and decreases are the only thing that I've changed. Besides that, I knit the sleeves exactly how you're supposed to knit them. And yeah, I'm super, super happy with this. I use 3.5mm needles, which are US size 4. And as you might have been able to see, I still have almost 2 balls of yarn left. So I ordered 6 balls. I ordered 4 in the main color and 2 in the contrast. And I only really used about 4. Which is crazy. So I think that means that in the future, because I've been wondering whether I could knit a sweater out of 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, I think the answer is I probably could. I could squeeze out a sweater out of 2 skeins, which is always good to know. And this yarn has really, really good yardage as well. I think it is, let's see, 210 meters per 50 grams. So it's definitely just a really nice fingering weight yarn, and I'm so happy with it. I don't know. Whoops. Somehow it took me like 2 months to knit this sweater, which is really unusual for me. And I think it's just because the endless body stripe rows just kind of went on forever, and I kind of lost, I don't know, I lost momentum. But now that it's done, I'm really happy with it. I would definitely recommend the pattern. If you have the patience to knit a fingering weight sweater, definitely go for it. So that's my one finished object. But I have another one, which I didn't think I would, but that just kind of happened. So these are the socks that I was knitting for Kai, who's my boyfriend. And last week, as you can see by the stitch marker here, which is my ugly Christmas sweater stitch marker, I still had a fair bit to go because I was knitting them 2 at a time. But then I was getting closer and closer to finishing them, and I knew that if I didn't sit down and finish them on the weekend, I would finish them pretty much right after recording the podcast, and then Kai would bug me to death because he wants the socks as soon as they're finished, and he hates waiting for me to show them on the podcast. So yesterday I just decided to finish them. I was kind of missing my sock mojo, but I decided that if I finish some socks, I can cast on some new ones, and yeah, so I finished them. So these socks are Vanilla Latte socks, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. I never remember the designer, sadly, but you will find it if you search for Vanilla Latte socks. And the yarn that I used is Austermann, who is a German, I believe they're German, commercial sock yarn dyer. and this was in their hand-painted range, colorway number 17. So it's a hand-painted yarn. The only thing that I thought was kind of surprising, especially considering it is a commercial dyer who I believe dyes in very large batches, is that one sock is a lot lighter than the other one, which is fine with any dyed yarn, but from a brand like Ostermann, I was kind of surprised to see that happen. So you can see this one is quite a lot darker than this one. But I really like how the yarn pulled. And yeah, you can see I put in a fish lips conceal, which is what I always do. I did 20 rows of 1x1 rib, and yeah, these are a little loose on the sock blocker because obviously they're Kai's foot size and he has larger feet than I do, but they fit reasonably well. So he's really excited to get them, and I'm really happy to have them off my needles. I knit them on US size 1 2.25mm needles on 64 stitches. I feel like I'm rushing through everything, but there's not that much more to tell you about these finished objects, so oh well. These are done. I'm really happy to have them off the needles. Talking about the yarn, it looks pretty, but I didn't really enjoy knitting with it, to be honest. It is quite a rough yarn. It is definitely a commercial sock yarn sort of roughness. I think they will wear really well, but like I said, I didn't really enjoy it. I like knitting with some commercial yarns, but this one was just a little bit too toothy for me. And for the price, which was fine, but I think for the price I could get nicer hand-dyed yarn that might be softer. But anyways, if you're wanting some sturdy socks, especially for maybe your husband or someone who is really hard on their socks, I think this would be great. And I mean, the colorways are pretty fun. So that's my finished objects for this week. And let me just, I have the prizes in front of me. Next, let's quickly talk about my blanket. So this week I have done a little bit of work on my blanket, but not a crazy amount. So you might remember last week I was working in the Can't Stop Your Signal, which is this glittery mini that I use right here. So I finished that skein, and then I worked in this blue turquoise tealy mini skein and one more glittery one. I really feel like putting glitter into my blanket at the moment, so whenever I have a mini that's glittery, that goes straight into my blanket. So not a crazy amount, but as you can see, my blanket is quite huge, so that does mean that it's harder to get progress done. Someone asked me last week how big my blanket is by now, and it is about 110 centimeters wide. It's a square, so it's 110 by 110, maybe even a little bit more because I did work some more since I measured it, but this is what it looks like, and it is a granny square. So if you're wondering how to make this, just Google how to crochet a granny square. That's essentially all that I'm doing, and I'm just going round and around, and that's it. So it's super simple. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the crazy colors that I'm putting in here, and I'm doing this on a crochet hook D, I believe. It's 4 millimeters, yes. So that's my blanket, and let's talk about some socks. So in here I have my Sentimental Journey socks, which are of course for the Geeky Sock Along. I'm using them for the Geeky Sock Along because Sentimental Journey is the name of Ringo Starr's solo album, so that is definitely geeky for me. And I have a hope. I finished the first one. This is also geeky because I'm knitting the Hermione's Everyday Socks pattern by Erika Lüder, which is of course Harry Potter inspired, so this is double geeky, I guess. So the yarn that I'm using is from Fondant Fiber in the Sentimental Journey sock set. So you got the main color and a matching mini skein for, I used it for cuffs and toes. And you can see the Hermione sock everyday sock pattern. I think it is just so beautiful. I think it's my third or fourth time that I'm knitting with it, but it just creates this sort of texture that I think looks really great, especially with this speckled yarn. And I absolutely love the first sock. As usual, I did my fish lips kiss heel and 20 rows of 2x2 rib, and that's pretty much all I can say about this sock. But I love every stitch with this yarn. It is just so gorgeous. It's in the Hardy Plus base, which is a 75-25 merino nylon, I believe. Yes. But the stitch definition and just the plying, everything is just really great. I'm really enjoying working with it. It feels incredibly soft and luxurious, but I still think it's going to be pretty hard wearing. So you can see I started the second one, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday. And about 3/4 down the leg. So I'd like to have these off the needles relatively quickly just because I really want to wear them. I love them, but I'm really enjoying knitting on them as well. So this is how much I have left of the first of the main color. So I only used about 60 grams of the main color for the first sock, which means that I should have quite a bit left over, so I could theoretically make shorty socks out of that, or of course it could go into my blanket. But I'm really thinking that with this, because it's so gorgeous, I might try to squeeze out another pair of socks. So yeah, I'm really happy with them. I'm knitting them on US size 1, 2.25 millimeter needle on my high sharps. So that's my first sock in progress. Let's see. Oh yeah, I have another haul. I also finished my first monkey sock. So these are the monkey socks by Cookie A, which is a free pattern on knitty.com, but also a paid for pattern on Ravelry. And that's all linked in the show notes, by the way. And for this sock, I am using Featherfin Yarns, who's a German indie dyer. Featherfin in her merino blend sock, and the colorway is lovely, which is why I named them my lovely monkey socks in my Ravelry project page, because it's the second pair I knit and I couldn't come up with a more interesting name. So anyways, the first one is done and I think it turned out really great. It fits great onto my sock blocker, which is a good sign, because the first one I knit, as you might remember, was too small. So this is my second pair of monkey socks. But yeah, I think it works absolutely perfectly and I'm really enjoying it. And again, I have started the second one. So this is how much I've done on the second one. I have measured that it takes me exactly 15 minutes to knit one repeat of the pattern. So I'm trying to knit at least one repeat per day. But I'd like to have these off the needles relatively soon as well. So I'm not very... But I'm thinking that's very realistic. Maybe I'll have them done next week, we'll see. And these I'm knitting on my current favorite needles, which are the Chagu red lace. Connie was so right, she convinced me to buy some and I absolutely love them. I have to stop myself from splurging and buying more because I think they're just fantastic. Again, I'm using 2.25 millimeter US size 1. So these are my second monkey socks. So next I'll show you one more sock that I cast on last night. I must admit I kind of lost my sock mojo over the weekend. I think it was also because I was just generally stressed out. But it was so weird because, you know me, I love knitting socks, and not wanting to knit socks feels really strange for me. It really took me a while to get back into it, but I also realized that I've kind of been knitting on the same socks for quite a while, so I really was craving a new cast on. And I shouldn't cast on a new sock because I have something planned that's going to be cast on pretty soon, so it wasn't necessarily a responsible cast on, but I just really wanted to cast on some vanilla socks because all the socks that I've been knitting have been relatively simple, but none of them have been just plain vanilla socks, and that's exactly what I needed. So I cast on another pair. And I cast on another pair for the One Ball with Love cowl. I know it's not February yet, but I don't really care. And this yarn I've been wanting to cast on for ages. I ordered it sometime last year and I've just been wanting to cast it on so badly, and I finally did. Also because it kind of, well, it's not really a Christmassy colorway or wintry colorway, but it looks wintry to me. So it is by Regia in one of the Anne and Carla series. And this one is called Nissedal color, or 3768. It's not the one that's pictured on here, but that's the ball band that I got with it. So yeah, I cast on. And this is what the ball looks like. I just think it looks so beautiful, and I've been wanting to cast it on so badly, like I said. So I cast on a very selfish vanilla sock for myself. And I love knitting with commercial sock yarn because it's just so interesting because of the color changes. So look at that. Isn't that just the most beautiful sock ever? I am so blown away by this colorway. I think it is so gorgeous. So this is obviously all one colorway, it just patterns that way, and especially this series, I've knit one other colorway out of the series and they have really, really long colorway repeats. So this is essentially one colorway repeat pretty much until that blue stripe where my finger is down here. So I think it is just so beautiful, and clearly I just knit a vanilla sock, just stockinette, and I think that's the best way to showcase the patterning as well. I think it is so great, and I'm very much in love with it. And I knit this within like 1.5 hours last night because I just couldn't stop myself. And like I said before so many times, self-patterning yarns just fly off the needle so much faster. So I did 64 stitches, no, I'm lying, I did 60 stitches on a 2.5mm US size 1.5, and I did 20 rows of 1x1 ribbing and then just a stockinette sock. I like to go up a needle size with commercial sock yarn just because sometimes, or a lot of times, I actually like really dense sort of socks, but with this kind of yarn I like them to be a little bit looser, and I don't know, I just really like, I guess there's no real reason, I just like using slightly bigger needles for commercial sock yarn, whereas indie dyed yarn can be often quite thin. And I'm really loving Regia. I've been thinking about this, and I think Regia is my favorite when it comes to commercial sock yarn. I also like Opal or Opal, but there's a lot of commercial sock yarns that I find quite scratchy, or just the yarn structure isn't that great, or you get thick and thin bits or that kind of stuff. But I feel like with the stuff that Regia is coming out with lately especially, they just have such a great quality of yarn, and I'm really enjoying it. In fact, I kind of want to get some more, which is crazy because I have enough commercial sock yarn as it is, but we'll see about that. I'm definitely enjoying it, and this is really soft. You might remember I finished the Regia Perfect socks a couple of weeks, maybe two months back, and I've been wearing them a ton, and they're so hard wearing, but they're still soft at the same time, and I'm really enjoying that. So that's enough waffling on about a plain vanilla sock, but yeah, I am loving them, and I can't wait to knit on these some more. I can't believe I haven't knit a vanilla sock in like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. That's crazy. I love vanilla socks. So that's my reckless cast on from last night. And then, of course, I also still have my Find Your Fade, which I put into this bigger Knitron Dig bag, which I showed you last week, because it's the biggest bag I own, I believe. I had it in a smaller bag before, but the Find Your Fade is quite a big show, I realize now. So, yes, it has definitely grown since you last saw it. And it's going to be hard to show you guys now. So, last week when I was showing it to you, I had done 2 sections. I had done the first section in this speckled yarn, which is from Somerset Yarns. And I'm showing you the back, sorry. This one is from Somerset Yarns, and then I put in this leftover that I had from Knit Picks Hawthorne in the Goddess colorway. And then I kind of changed around my colors again, so this might not reflect what you saw last when I showed you some pictures on Instagram. But I put in this gray because I just really liked some tonal and solid yarns in the fade as well. So this is a 100% merino yarn from Wolkenschaf, who is a German indie dyer, and the colorway is called Stein, which means stone, which is very fitting, and yeah, I'm really enjoying how that looks. And I've already put in my 4th color now, which is a more speckled colorway, and this one is from Hedgerow Yarns. And for the life of me, I have looked at the colorway so many times and I just can't remember it. It's something heather, I believe, but I have listed all of my colorways and how much exactly I used on my project page. So please, if you're interested, just go to my project page, which I will link in the show notes, and you will find all the yarn names, all the yardages that I used, and so on in there. So anyways, now my fade is very, very large, and I'm very happy with it. I know that the purple kind of stands out quite a bit. It's a pretty strong color compared to the rest. So I've kind of started calling this my Find Your color block rather than my Find Your Fade. But I'm really enjoying it. I really from the beginning knew that I wanted some contrast in mine rather than just sort of almost invisible fades. And I'm planning to end on a very bright yellow, believe it or not. So I think once I put that bright yellow in, it's going to counterbalance this dark purple, and I think it's going to be quite pretty. I did actually, after this purple, put in a different color, and then I had to rip back because I just didn't like it. And also I was playing Yarn Chicken. I don't know why, because I kind of had exactly as much as you should have had for the second color, but I ran out. So I actually, first time I just had one less stripe, but then when I realized that the color I was working with after didn't really work anyways, I decided to rip back, and actually I ripped back into the lace section. And let me tell you, picking up the stitches in the lace or in the eyelet section was not very fun. But now I have at least one more stripe. It is still one stripe less than you're supposed to have, but I just didn't want to think back a third time. And I think no one is going to know that there's one stripe or one color mill section less than there should be. But yeah, I was quite surprised to be running out of yarn quite significantly on the second one, on the second color. But it didn't really matter, because for the third color I had a full 100 gram skein, so I used about 70 grams of that. I think you're supposed to use 60. So I just basically made up, and now I have the correct stitch count and everything, and blend it into the fourth color exactly when you should have. So I can't wait to see how this will look in the end. I am really, really enjoying working on this. And I have now reached the widest point, so I have a tip somewhere. Hang on. I'm not sure if you can see that, but that's where it starts going the other way again. So there's no more increases, or the stitch count doesn't increase anymore from here. So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm knitting it on 3.5mm US size 4 needles. These are my Knit Pro cubics, the Nova cubics, which are the metal cubic ones. And you might remember that last week I was complaining about the cord being super twisted. I just ran them under some hot water, and it didn't make a huge difference, but it is a lot more comfortable now, so I'm quite happy with the needles. I actually contemplated changing to my Addy lace, which I use for the sweater, and obviously that sweater is finished. But so far I've been too lazy, so I might just continue with these, because now they're actually working for me quite well. So that's my Find Your Fade, and I am enjoying it very much. I'm very happy I hopped down that rabbit hole, and I'm already planning my second one, because that's how crazy I am. But yeah, giant garter stitch slack kit. And the Find Your Fade, I should mention, is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. Everyone and their grandmother is knitting it at the moment, but it's really, really fun, so I can understand the hype around it, because yeah, it's just so much fun, and I love browsing the Instagram tags for Find Your Fade and Find Your Fade shawl, and just looking at everyone else's fades and their colors. And I think it's also really interesting how everyone chooses very different fades, and they really do reflect our personalities in some way. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. How many more times can I say that? Sometimes I think I'm like the stupidest podcaster ever. Anyways, that's it for my works in progress, and I have a little bit of acquisitions to show you. But before I do, I did something else this week, and that's I organized my mini skeins. So I have a ton of mini skeins, or I used to have a ton of mini skeins, because lots of people sent me some last year when I kind of called out to mini skein people. Anyways, and I've been slowly using them up, and that means that I had sort of these bags and little plastic pouches of mini skeins that I had used and hadn't used, and it was all becoming a bit of a mess. So I actually sat down, organized my mini skeins. I put all the commercial sock yarns, like self-patterning sock yarns, away, because I mentioned before that I'm thinking about doing a crochet blanket or something out of those. And then I kind of sorted through what I had and what I have used and what I have, for example, put in my blanket, but I still have leftovers. And then I decided to sort some of them into a rainbow. So I used mostly my solid and semi-solid or speckled colorways for that, and I chose 35 mini skeins. And then I made a giant cake of yarn. So these are 35 mini skeins, each of them about 5 to 8 grams. I wasn't super strict about that, because it already took ages the way that I did it, and I couldn't have been more. I just didn't have the energy to do anything more difficult than that. But if you might be able to tell, I started with a light beige, and then went into a tealy turquoise, blues, purples, oranges, yellows, and then it ends on this sort of like purple, pink, white color scheme. So I just used magic knots, and if you don't know how magic knots work, there's lots of tutorials for that on YouTube and Knitty and all sorts of places. And I just knotted all the mini skeins together and caked them up. And I was really surprised that I managed to fit like 250 grams of yarn onto my very, very simple Knit Pro wool binder. That was really interesting. This took me ages. I think I probably sat down for like 2 hours to do this. But now I have this amazing rainbow cake, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with it. But I have an idea. I think it's going to be some sort of scrappy gradient wrap. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm really just happy to have organized my minis. This means that I don't have very many minis left over. But that's fine, because I will get more minis in the future, and I knit lots of things, so I always produce minis for myself anyways. And also some of these I had more than 5 or 8 grams, so some of them I still have leftovers that I can still put into my blankets. So yeah, I just thought that was worth mentioning. I have a few ideas for it, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But it was a fun way to get rid of some mini skeins that would have otherwise just lingered forever. And also for this one, I didn't use just sock yarns. There are some 100% wool or merino ones in here, so this is not going to become socks. But I'm very excited about this, and this just feels so much neater to me than the piles and bags and tangled messes of mini skeins that I had lying around before. So yeah, I just thought I should mention that. So for acquisitions, I have one thing this week. One thing that I really shouldn't have bought, but I'm really excited about it. And the thing is that I have been looking at this specific German indie dyer for at least a year, if not more. I don't know, I keep looking at her yarn. I know that she used to be on Davanda, which is like German Etsy, and I remember actually putting stuff into my cart, but I never checked out, I never bought anything. And last week I just snapped and decided to get the one colorway that I really, really, really loved. So the dyer that I'm talking about is this one. She's a German indie dyer. I would just pronounce it Kunis Wolle. And now she's not on Lavanda anymore. She has her own website, which I will link in the show notes in case you're interested. But I have no idea if she ships internationally or anything like that. But this is her glitter yarn, which I've been wanting so badly. And this one is in the colorway Saphir Hund. So there you go. This is what it's spelled. And she has all these different colorways that are called Hund, which is just dog. And they all have sort of like this rainbow going through them, but then with a different color base. So this one obviously is the base is this sort of purpley blue, and then she has the same on black and on red and on green, and they're really, really interesting. And her glitter base is very soft. It's not these sort of, I feel like a lot of German dyers, they have very scratchy glitter bases, but this one is a really soft one. I'm not sure if it's actually a merino. It just says 75% wool, 20% nylon, 5% polyester, silver stellina. But yeah, I'm super, super happy, and I can't wait to knit with this, and I'm so glad that I splurged and got this, because yeah, it is so gorgeous, and it's exactly what I kind of crave at the moment. I feel like my color tastes change a lot, but this is exactly what I've been wanting for ages. And I actually don't have much blue yarn at all, so yeah, very happy with that. So that's my only acquisition for this week, which is good. So now I'm just going to be talking about life in general, so if you're not interested in that, that's 100% fine. So in that case, I'll just see you next week. And somehow I'm not in focus. But if you are sticking around, I'll just quickly talk about what's been happening and waffle on about things that I always think that you guys don't care about, but apparently you do. So, it's been a week of interview preparation. I have an exciting interview tomorrow, and I really want it, and I'm very excited about it. And yeah, I've been preparing quite a lot for this one, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow because it always kind of, the day before the interview, it just drags on, and as positive and as confident as I may seem, I get very, very nervous before interviews. And you should think that by now I should be good at it, but I'm still not. But anyways, I'm really excited about that, and that's been taking the majority of my time last week. Besides that, on the weekend, on Saturday, we took a drive down to Starnberger See, which is a big lake. It's only like 25 kilometers from where we live, so that makes it really, really easy for us to just go there and walk around the lake. And they have a cute coffee shop that we really like to go to and get some cake. And yeah, we just had a lovely time, and I probably have already included some videos at the top of the episode, but if I haven't, I'll just put them in at the end. It was really, really freezing and beautiful, and I loved it. It was good to get out. And yeah, you will see it in the videos. The lake was partly frozen at the very front, and there were all these birds sitting on it. It was really, really pretty. Besides that, nothing too major has happened, just general life stuff. Been kind of freaking out about our apartment because stuff keeps breaking, which isn't our fault, but it still doesn't stop me from freaking out. But generally, everything is going really well. Kai was sick last week, and I was so worried about getting sick as well, because it's very hard when one person is sick and you have germs everywhere. As I tried so hard not to get sick, but it's still hard, and I knew I had an interview coming up, but I'm fine, and he's fine now as well, so that's good. So yeah, I'm just waffling along, and I have no idea if you're still listening, why you're still listening, but yeah, I think it's time for me to end. So thank you so much for watching this podcast today. I really hope that you like it, and I can't wait to hear from you through the Ravelry Group, through Instagram, through the knit-alongs. I love it when you guys participate, and I hope that you enjoy it as well. So with that, have a wonderful week. I hope you have some lovely knitting time ahead and some yarn to play with. So I'll just see you next Monday. Happy knitting. Bye.